Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending this meeting of the City of Boise's Public Works Commission. I will call us to order and start with a quick call of the roll. If you are here, please let me know. Commissioner Ellis, Commissioner Pagan, Commissioner Wernz. Here. Commissioner Lockett, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Thornfeld.
Here.
Thank you all. With that, the first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from our last regular meeting on November 5th of 2025. And with that, I would open to the commission for a motion. Commissioner Wernz?
I move we approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Commissioner Thornfeld?
I'll second.
A motion from Commissioner Wernz, a second from Commissioner Thornfeld. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Up next on our agenda is the Audra Lane subdivision appeal. And with that, I would turn it over to staff for any tee up.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to introduce the topic. We have an appeal, the Audra Lane subdivision appeal. We have staff from the engineering department, both the city engineer and then engineering staff. They're going to present for the city. And I was going to turn it back over to you if you wanted to walk through the order of operations and a lot of time for the appeal process.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so here's the sort of order of operations for this. Up first, we're going to open with around 15 minutes of staff presentation before turning over to appellant presentation for another 15 minutes. After that, we will have some time for Q&A from the commission, followed by, to close, 5 minutes of staff rebuttal, 5 minutes of appellant rebuttal, and then we will have our deliberation and discussion as the commission before reaching a decision. Any questions, comments, concerns, or threats before we jump in? All right, hearing none, then I would open up at this time to staff for a presentation.
Okay, and I'm going to turn it over to Abbas Razai. We also have Mike Shepard from engineering and Jim Pardee, the city engineer. Abbas is going to give the presentation for the staff.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Abbas Razai. I'm an engineer in public works. I'm joined by Mike Shepard, one of our senior engineers, and Jim Pardee, our city engineer. We're here today because the applicant is appealing the denial of a sanitary sewer waiver request. The waiver was to allow private ownership of the sanitary sewer system for the Audra Lane subdivision.
And then can we get the slide presentation up?
Thank you, Steve.
There we go.
As a reminder, because this is an appeal, a motion from the commission will be required. For today's agenda, I'll cover project background on how we got to this appeal. I'll provide applicable city codes and discuss some of the complexities and associated risks and things to take into consideration, followed by staff recommendation. Lastly, when appropriate, we'll answer any questions you may have. Project location is outlined in red in Figure 1 and is adjacent to West Audra Lane and North Eagle Road, and in between McMillan Road to the south and Chinle Boulevard to the north. In this presentation, when I say sewer, I'm referring to sanitary sewer only and not storm sewer. As a side note, the green lines with the arrows and tick marks are showing public sewer lines serving the surrounding subdivisions. In the upcoming slides, I'll discuss public sewer versus private sewer in more detail. But first, let's define what is a sanitary sewer system. A sanitary sewer system is a network of underground pipes and facilities that carry wastewater from things like toilets, sinks, showers, and other sources to a water renewal facility for cleaning. This project was originally submitted and has been approved by the city of Boise as an apartment complex with 9 buildings known as the Eagle Villa Apartments. Sewer pipes and facilities have been installed underground and buildings are under construction as shown in Figure 2. So Figure 3 shows the plan that was approved by the city. Please note that this is a single parcel which did not undergo a subdivision process. Since this is a single parcel, the sewer within the property boundary outlined in red is private sewer. So what does a private sewer system mean? It means that the property owner, in this case, the owner of the apartment complex, is responsible for the operation and maintenance, repairs, and long-term funding of the sewer system. This is no different than a homeowner who's responsible for the plumbing in their house and their sewer service line up to the right-of-way line where it turns into public sewer. It also means when plans are submitted to the city for review and approval, Public Works Engineering does not review or comment on the sewer within the property boundary in red. This oversight falls to the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality, IDEQ. The city's oversight is limited to the portion in green in the public right-of-way. So what's considered private sewer or public sewer is reflected in city code definitions. So public sewer is owned, operated, and maintained by the city, whereas private sewer is located within private property owned by the property owner and not maintained by the city. So the applicant's representatives recently reached out to the city and indicated that they would now like to subdivide the property. Please recall that this project has already been approved by the city as an apartment complex, which again is a single parcel under single ownership and well underway in construction. Moving to a subdivision will require this project to go through the city subdivision process. Doing so comes with significant challenges for the development, especially for sewer. So what's a subdivision? A subdivision is taking a larger piece of land and dividing it into smaller pieces or lots. These smaller lots are then sold to individual property owners. In this case, you go from a single lot of 2.82 acres to a 46 residential lot subdivision. In other words, the piece of land went from one owner to 46 owners after the subdivision. These property owners within the subdivision often share common expenses such as amenities like a clubhouse, swimming pool, landscaping for common areas, etc. So Figure 4 is showing lot lines for the 46 proposed residential lots in red and the city's sewer oversight in green for the proposed subdivision. Please note that the sewer boundary changed when compared to Figure 3, and now everything outlined in green falls under public sewer. With subdivisions, the city gets an opportunity to review and approve sewer design and layout and inspect installation of sewer pipes and facilities, ensuring sewer is constructed to city standards. A waiver would essentially bypass this important process. Additionally, we know the on-site sewer was designed to IDEQ standards. However, we're unsure of the standards to which it was constructed because Public Works Engineering did not inspect the on-site construction of sewer. Another important fact about subdivisions is that they often require much more publicly owned infrastructure, and this is the essence of the issue and is why we're here today. So after meeting with the applicant and discussing the city subdivision sewer requirements and standards, the applicant said it does not appear possible to adhere to the city of Boise sewer standards for the proposed subdivision, therefore requesting a waiver to obtain private ownership of the sewer system for the proposed subdivision, which Public Works Engineering denied. Another applicable city code is 10251, which requires every building, structure, or sewer user to be individually connected to public sewer. According to this code, each one of the 46 residential lots must connect to public sewer. These are some things to take into consideration. The waiver does not comply with city codes. The approval process between apartments and subdivisions is different. There's increased long-term risk to ratepayers if a waiver is granted. Likelihood a private sewer system would be inherited by the city in the future is high. Maintenance of the sewer system will be difficult due to location of sewer because proper access was not provided. Additionally, there may be potential hurdles in obtaining approval from other city departments. So I touched on this a little bit previously, but the development process is different for subdivisions versus apartments. Subdivision is a more involved process, including infrastructure, public hearings, and city council approval. It requires a plat, neighborhood meetings, roads and utilities, and public improvements, to name a few, and is generally a longer process. So why doesn't the city code allow private sewer for subdivisions? City codes don't allow it, and from the city's experience, sewer systems are too complicated for HOAs to operate and maintain. So a question to ask is, what happens if the HOA at some point is unable to operate and maintain the system? Incorporating a private sewer to public sewer may result in the city eventually having to step in the future to manage the system. In such case, the risk and liability get transferred from the developer to individual homeowners, and when these sewer systems fail and become a public health and regulatory compliance issue, the city inherits them, therefore transferring the risk and liability to the city and burdening Boise ratepayers with associated costs. An example of a private sewer system that the city stepped in and took over is the Warm Springs Mesa in East Boise. The developer constructed a private sewer system to serve the subdivision. This system was previously owned and operated by the developer, and the residents paid fees to maintain it. So the highlighted sewer segments demonstrate access issues due to the location of sewer in backyards. Because of the location, these are difficult to access for maintenance. Over time, there were concerns about maintenance, regulatory compliance, and long-term reliability. In the early 1990s, the city of Boise began discussions about taking over the system due to aging infrastructure, public health concerns, and pressure from residents. Unfortunately, the city acquired, ultimately, the city acquired the system and upgraded key components. The transition ensured better long-term service, regulatory compliance, and environmental protection. However, this led to greater burden on ratepayers. Here's an example of one of the challenges of converting this apartment complex to a subdivision. In this picture, sewer was constructed in the landscaped area between the building and the noise attenuation wall. And I am pointing to it. So this is the landscaped area, the building. Here's the noise attenuation wall, and this is Eagle Road behind the wall. The location of sewer is very important for access and maintenance. For reference, the city's maintenance truck is similar to the one shown here, which is similar in size to a fire truck. So the city cleans sewer lines every 18 months with specialized equipment. The city can't access or has very limited access to sewer throughout the majority of the site. Proper access maximizes the city's efficiency in reducing risk and keeping costs low. Another example is it appears there's a single entrance into the subdivision and sewers installed near the entrance. If sewer needed a repair, this could potentially block access or limit entry and exit in and out of the subdivision. The challenges here are similar to the challenges of the Warm Springs Mesa. This has the potential of turning into the same situation as the Mesa. There are conditions under which a waiver may be granted per city code. Although undue hardship on the property owner may be considered for some waiver requests, this particular type of waiver cannot qualify under that exception. This is because City Code 10291 prohibits getting waivers for subdivisions being proposed for platting where new roads and utilities must be constructed. In conclusion, the waiver request does not meet city codes and presents significant complexities and challenges. The development process is different for apartments versus subdivisions, and the risk and liability get transferred, in which case ratepayers ultimately bear the burden. Therefore, staff recommends denial of the appeal. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, hello? With that, I think that we will turn over to about 15 minutes for the appellant presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Penelope Constantakis. You can just call me Penelope. That last name is a little bit cumbersome. With the Riley Planning Services, Post Office Box 405, Boise, Idaho 83701. So, as you are all aware, we're here today to request that a waiver be granted and that a private sewer system be allowed for the Audra Lane subdivision and the Eagle Villa townhomes. So there's two options in our opinion. The first would be to accept the sewer system into the city of Boise with the Homeowners Association funding a third-party maintenance contract, which would take the burden for maintenance off the city of Boise, or allow a private system, again, with a third-party maintenance company to maintain and operate the system. I wanted to direct your attention to the Public Works letter. They give you two examples. One of them is Golden Dawn Estates, which is located on a floodplain. And that subdivision was platted in 1969. So my assumption is the standards that were in place at that time were considerably different than they are today. The second one is the Mesa. That was platted in 1985. And again, everyone in the city of Boise that pays attention is aware of all kinds of issues with the Mesa, not just their sewer system. There were road issues, all kinds of issues that showed up. I also wanted to mention that the other issues that are discussed in the Public Works letter aren't really germane to our conversation today. Whether or not there are other issues that need to be navigated is irrelevant, and I don't believe it belongs in this forum. Apparently I found out late today that in 2021, the city of Boise did accept a private system on Liberty for a subdivision called Blanche. I don't know much about it. I did pull out the Department of Environmental Quality approval letter for that, and it details what has to happen in order for that sewer system to be constructed and for the city of Boise to allow it. I can get into that a little later if you like. I don't have any information about why these systems failed. I think that that's important to know. Was it the materials that they were constructed with? Did they have shifting ground that caused issues? What were the issues? Why did the city have to take those on? Again, I mentioned Golden Dawn is on a floodplain, and the Mesa is its own special kind of animal. We do have a Department of Environmental Quality approval with a third-party maintenance company under contract, the same one that will be serving the Blanche subdivision. It's Blackwater. And I would like to mention that Blackwater has a very assertive maintenance and observation schedule that they follow. So I think it's probably quite a bit more comprehensive than what the city does. They will be inspecting the sewer system on a 6-month basis, and they'll be doing regular flushings. There'll be a number of things that they do to keep the system operating properly. So with that, some of the issues that the city has identified as access. That's more of an equipment issue than it is a sewer design, because if they can't get into these areas that Abbas has mentioned, the third-party maintenance company can and will. So it can't be an issue of whether or not the system can be maintained and repaired, because the third-party company, which is approved by DEQ, allowed by the state of Idaho, I looked at the standards that these third-party companies have to have in order to be authorized to provide this kind of service by the state. So it's pretty comprehensive. They have to be licensed in certain ways, that kind of thing. It's unfortunate that the city of Boise trucks are not able to access different kinds of scenarios. But again, like I mentioned, third-party company can. When the system was constructed, it was inspected according to the DEQ standards. It was TV'd. I've provided those videotapes of the TVing. As far as I can tell, there are no bellies in the line that would cause problems. Everything, I mean, if you look at the Public Works or the DEQ letter that was issued for Blanche subdivision, all of the protocol for approving that sewer system was followed identically, as far as I'm aware, at Audra when they put the sewer line in. So I don't know that if it's just an issue of their equipment not being able to access it, but the city in 2001 accepted another private sewer system with HOA ownership. I'm not sure I understand why this isn't eligible at the same time. And they're using the same maintenance company as well. So those are just my comments. Abbas mentioned a couple of things. The HOA isn't going to be maintaining the system. They pay to have a third-party maintenance, provide maintenance and operations for the system. Again, I have no idea. I'm not a PE. I did study engineering, but I have no idea why those systems failed. Was it the quality of the pipes in those days? What was it? We don't have enough information really to use that as a viable comparison, in my opinion. I would like to add that there are no roads being constructed as part of this. And so that hardship and city code disallowing subdivisions that are constructing new roads, we don't have any new roads. Audra Lane has been in there for a number of years already. It was constructed with Roxy something subdivision. I don't know exactly. Roxy Place subdivision. So it's been there. It was there before Eagle Villa townhomes came in. So when they started the project, they did indeed start with a multifamily. And midstream, they shifted to a townhouse project, with each townhouse having individual sewer and water service. There's really only one reason that any developer would provide individual services to a townhouse, and that's because they're planning on parking them all on discrete and platted lots. So the question was not asked and the opportunity was lost when the city didn't say, why are you plumbing all of these units with individual services? That's something you do for plats. So I think there were miscues everywhere, and it's unfortunate, but we would like to have a private system, either with the city of Boise accepting it and the HOA being financially responsible for a third-party maintenance company that the city has already agreed to allow maintain a private system for a different subdivision, or allow the HOA to own the sewer system and provide their own maintenance and operations with a third party that's authorized to do that kind of work by the state of Idaho. And with that, I think I'm done. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Now I'll open it up to Q&A from the commission. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Commissioner Lockett.
Thank you. I have questions for both parties, but I think I'll start with you. And I wasn't able to hear your name at the beginning, but I did hear Riley Planning Services.
You can just call me Penelope.
Penelope, okay, thank you. Will there be roads inside your proposed subdivisions, or is it just driveways on your
It's going to be
2.8 acres?
a service drive.
I'm sorry, I
this
meant to
is-
go through the chair. Chair, excuse me. Chair
Sorry.
and Penelope, my
Yes.
question, excuse me for getting us off track. Will there be roads inside your subdivision, or will the 2.8 acres just be homes and driveways?
There'll be a service drive, which will provide parking and access. It's not unusual. I mean, it's a service drive. There are no new roads being constructed. These are issues that we will take up with the Planning and Development Services. So that's a bit of an anomaly, and we agree that that's true. But that's something we'll take up with the Planning Department.
Other questions from the commission? Yes, Commissioner
Thank you.
Lockett again.
Thank you. The city code that we had on the screen, 1029-1,
Mhm.
that lists the conditions under which a waiver can be appealed.
Mhm.
And I believe I heard you say that Chair, that there are reasons that you believe this should be approved. But what is the crux of your appeal? What is the crux? What are you saying that the city did incorrectly?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, this is an unusual situation, clearly. And I don't know that there's one crux to the situation. There's just a variety of questions that are out there. The city is very recently allowed a similar kind of scenario to occur, number one. And number two, from a planner perspective, this is a great place to have townhouses with home ownership opportunities. It's on Eagle Road, which is a primary transportation corridor. And it's my understanding that if it doesn't already have transit service, it will because of the opportunities that are available there. Smaller lots make homes more affordable, and platted lots enable people to have home ownership. So there's a variety of planning reasons why this is a good idea. It's always been the intent of the developer to plat the subdivision from the very beginning. I don't know how clearly that was communicated, but that was always the intent. So I'm not really answering your question. I am to the best extent possible. We just feel that this is not an unreasonable request, especially in light of the information I received late today about Blanche subdivision being allowed to have their own private system based on a Department of Environmental Quality approval. So the sewer system that's constructed meets the state of Idaho standards. And the maintenance company is obviously a company that's been approved by the state of Idaho because they're providing it with Blanche subdivision as well. So I just don't see why an unusual request should automatically be discarded because it's an unusual request.
Thank you.
A question from Commissioner Ellis online.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
My question was, how is it that the third party can reach, but the city of Boise can't reach? I wasn't sure I understood that piece.
My understanding, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, my understanding is that the city of Boise has equipment that only allows a 10-foot stretch. They have to be really close in order to do maintenance, flushing. I'm not exactly sure what they do. Blackwater has the equipment to be able to get into tighter quarters and extend their equipment longer distances. So it's an equipment capability question.
Okay. And I have a follow-up question or another question, Chair. Is that all right if I go forward with that one?
Go ahead.
To Penelope, thank you. I was trying to figure out how this is going to work, paying the third party. Will this be in the CCNRs? Will it be in the will be ACCs, but the CCNRs is that there forever will be this payment to a third party being able to fix this. And I just think, guess it's more of an opinion than a question. Is that the question is that how you're going to handle it? And then two, are there going to be opportunities for maybe that to change over time where members can say they don't want to do it, they don't want to pay for it anymore, or prices rise to pay the third party?
Mr. Chairman, it
Trying
would
to
not
figure-
be uncommon for this to show up in the CCNRs. I would also suggest that there be a plat note on the final plat so that people, when they purchase the lots, understand that their HOA fees include their proportionate share for the maintenance of the system. Having spent a decade as a real estate agent, those things need to be conveyed when someone purchases, but and it would be into perpetuity.
Okay.
CCNRs, if I understand Idaho State Code correctly, there's those just continue into forever CCNRs. I think that there are probably some exceptions to CCNRs, but if it's something that they sign on to, whether the CCNRs are, I don't know, they can be modified, I suppose, but it's pretty standard to just include those things in CCNRs and then make sure there's a plat note so that everyone is fully advised when they purchase.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wertz, did you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. And I appreciate the presentation. I do have I guess a clarification, maybe not having a full history on this project. It's a little hard to understand, but maybe you can shed a little bit of light on why when it sounds like the intention was to have townhouses, individually owned townhouses from the beginning or from very early on in the process.
Mhm.
Yet the development plan is a commercial or what was approved was a commercial apartment complex type arrangement. And can you shed a little bit of light on how that, why it wasn't following the code for subdivisions from the beginning?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, I understand that. I've actually done a number of projects, mostly in the city of Meridian, where apartment buildings were built. And then we went in after the fact, they were constructed and leased up. And then we went through and platted the site. So it's not unusual. The original approval was to get the buildings up so that they could start leasing and then come back and do the plat to convert the townhouses to owner occupancy. And I think probably a lot of that was financial to get a cash flow stream going so that then when they moved into the platting process, it wasn't just a continuous, land development is a risky business. It's a high risk, high gain game that developers play. So, and I'm coming in late also. But I was not, I don't think it's unusual to have this kind of a scenario. Maybe I shouldn't say unusual. It's not unheard of. It's not unheard of to have a two-step process where you build the buildings and then you come back and plat after the fact. So, and like I mentioned, when individual services are plumbed to individual units, it should be a great big red flag saying, because that's the first thing I'd say is, oh, I see that you're plumbing each unit with sewer and water. Are you intending on plating in the future? So miscues, I don't know how to answer you other than it's not common, but it's not unheard of to have it go this way.
Thank you. One follow on too is it may be in the materials, but has the subdivision development been submitted for approval?
No, it has not. I queued up with planning and development services, and as a part of that, some of the constraints became visible, at which time Public Works became involved in the discussion. We did have a huge meeting with all the different departments, building, solid waste, Public Works, planning and development. Kevin, who's here, coordinated that meeting. He had anyone who might have input on the applications come to the meeting. So we haven't submitted an application. We need to get this question resolved first before we can submit an application.
Thank you.
Questions? Yes, Commissioner Lockett.
Mr. Chair, I have questions for the city, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Are you done with me?
We may call you back up. We'll
That's
just,
fine. Thank you
we'll-
very
we'll,
much.
We switch back and forth as we seek further clarification. Thank you.
Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commission. Just for the record, Jim Party, City Engineer.
Thank you, Chair. In the presentation, it was mentioned several times about an HOA maintained system. My question is, what percentage of existing subdivisions in the city are privately maintained? Or approximately how many?
To my knowledge, being here 20 years, I can't think of any. The one that was provided today was, I'm unaware of, and we can look into it, but it's, for subdivisions, no. Condo plats, condominiums, the city does consider condominiums as a subdivision. There are several of condo plats, and that actually kind of ties into even the theory about like the suggestion or the comment made that a lot of times these projects will start as apartment complex and then transfer over and get subdivided.
Oh.
We have seen that happen, but we usually see, we haven't seen it so much with subdivisions. We've seen it with condo plats. And that's where you own the airspace and then everything else, everybody owns in all the property. So it's still a way of kind of subdividing a property or condo platting a property, but still having private utilities. That's where we often see the apartments go to condo plats, not full on subdivisions.
Okay, Chair. So I think I heard you say that there are one or maybe none subdivisions in the city that have private sewer systems currently.
As far as my knowledge. Yep.
Thank you. And so my next question was going to be a follow-up on that, Mr. Chair, about this Blanche subdivision that the city accepted in 2021. What was the reason for that waiver being granted?
We've got Mr. Shepherd here who was able to go do a little research for us.
Blanche subdivision is a multi-lot subdivision, but each lot is served independently and connected to the city of Boise sewer system. The private system is one large lot within this plat. So with multi-units, so each of those homes are connected to a private system, which we consider, which is then connected to the city's main line out the road. So each individual lot is connected to a public system.
Thank you. And I have a few more questions, but I can pause and move to the other commissioners.
Let's continue your line of questioning. Commissioner Lockett.
Just taking a few notes. Thank you for your patience. Thank you. Thank you so much. Chair and city, what is the difference between a service drive and a road?
I would say, and I might have to call my planning partner here. Service road would be, again, private. It's, the association or the homeowners would be responsible for it. And a public road would therefore then be like an ACHD road where it's owned and operated by ACHD.
Thank you. So ownership aside, do they function similarly?
Yes. Well,
Is the use a
ACH
similar use?
Sorry, and I've been very disrespectful, Chair, Commissioner. ACHD would not own and operate these roads within this development based on their standards. So it would be private roads or service drives.
Thank you. I'm sorry. One more follow-up. I just want to be abundantly clear, make sure I understand. So a service drive, service road, and a road. Do people drive cars on all three of those? Do they function on a day-to-day basis similarly?
Chair, Commissioner, yes.
Thank you. Those are my questions for now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And I believe that there is the site plan is in the packet materials for reference that might help offer some illumination. I believe it's packet page 29, if I'm reading correctly. Correct me if I'm referencing the wrong map. Other questions from the commission? Commissioner Thornfeld.
Thank you, Chair. So my question is, if the appeal is not granted, what will have to happen for the sewage lines at the complex?
Chair, Commissioner, could you repeat the first part of that question? I didn't quite hear. Thank you.
Yeah, so if this appeal is not granted, what will have to happen? What will the developer have to do to meet city code?
Chair, Commissioner, as previously mentioned, the project has been approved as is, as apartment complexes. You saw the buildings taking place. They're well on their way. It would just remain, it could either, and this is a developer, more of a developer question. The options could be proceed with the approvals you already have, possibly entertain a condominium plan. But that, there again, I can't speak for the developer. That would have to come from there. But in my mind, those are the two options.
And perhaps we open up to the appellant to offer a response to that question before continuing down that slide, if that's all right, Commissioner Thornfeld. Please.
Am I here to make comments, or was there a question I needed to answer first?
I believe that the question from Commissioner Thornfeld, if I'm remembering correctly, was about the next steps, the future steps as you understand them based on the approval or denial of the appeal today.
Condominium plats are very difficult, and a final plat for a condominium project of this size would be 30 to 50 pages long. They're very difficult, and they're extremely expensive. So I guess I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for from me. If the waiver is not granted, what would need to happen to meet city code? Is that the base question? Yes. Well, I guess some of the options are tear everything out, start again, which would be very difficult because most of the structures are in. The sewer line is in. It's been inspected by professionals. It's been TV'd, and it's been covered and been paved over. So it's one and done kind of a thing. So I'll let the developer answer more of the historic questions and his view of what those options are. I did want to point out part of the city engineer's comments. There really isn't any difference between Blanche and Audra Lane. The sewer lines that feed the individual residences go into a main line, which goes into Audrey, which goes into the private or into the city of Boise public system. So the fact that we have a short distance of a private lane that leads to a public road, it shouldn't be a disqualifier. We're connecting to the city services out in Eagle Road. So there's really no difference there. I hope I'm going to step aside and let the developer speak.
Hello, thank you for meeting today. My name is Ethan Helmer. I'm the managing member for Eagle Villa that owns the project. So I can address that question, and then there was another question about, I don't remember who asked, a little bit about the history. Why did we not follow the apartment approval? And why did we change? Was that okay? So I guess I'll address a little bit of that first. So originally we did get approval as a single parcel apartment project. This was back in 2019. During COVID and, you know, my personal divorce, which put the whole project on hold for a couple of years, coming out of that, the market was completely different. And to get the financing in place for this project was extremely difficult. Banks were not wanting to fund apartments. And so an alternative to get the project to move forward and to be something that would come to market and be in demand at the time was townhomes. Everyone was wanting to buy townhomes because they were more affordable. And so I spent a great deal of resources, time and money to resubmit to the city for our permits. We started our permit process all over again after redesigning the same buildings for townhomes. And like I said, it was an extra 5 months and a lot of more financial resources to do that. And I'm still getting over the shock that we're even here, because my understanding was all of this stuff was worked out, or at least should have been, during that design and permitting process. It was no surprise to anybody that we were building 2 townhomes and that the plan was we already had approval as apartments. Nothing was different with the buildings. We were just adding individual utilities to those units. So that's a little bit of the history. Hopefully that makes sense. So it was for financial and also for market reasons that we changed our design intent to townhomes, thinking that we were doing everything right by getting it approved in the permitting process before we started construction. Now to the other question, can you repeat the question you had? What has to be
Commissioner
done?
Thornfeld?
Thank you, Chair. So my question was, if this appeal was denied, and moving forward, what would be the next steps? What would have to change in order to be compliant to city code?
Well, we already are compliant right now for the application or for the approval that we have, but to get to the townhome standards for the city, I mean, we're not arguing the fact that that standard is different and does not really work with our site. We're not. Abbas has explained that they need to have access within 10 feet of the sewer mains for their trucks to service them. And there's a couple spots on our site where you can't drive a truck through that landscape, you know, behind. You can on some of the buildings, but there's a couple spots where they can't. And that's where we're suggesting a third party service company that can. It's not a matter of can the sewer system be maintained? It's just a matter of who can maintain it. But it has been built and installed, and it's complete. The underground for the entire site is completed, built to the standards that were approved in the permitting process and through DEQ's standards.
Other questions from the commission? Commissioner Thornfeld?
Thank you, Chair. I kind of have a follow-up on what
Okay.
you were saying earlier, with the kind of break that you had with the planning, was everything approved and did you go through all the motions for what we're seeing now before the break or after?
After the break, I restarted the process all over again. Our permits had expired from the first round, and so we reapplied again. I paid for building permits twice.
Sorry. I have
Go
another
ahead,
follow-up.
Commissioner Thornfeld.
Thank you, Chair. So with that, now my question is, if you started all over, why did you not make it so that it would follow, what we're doing? Like, why didn't you make it so it would be applicable to a subdivision instead of a single parcel?
My understanding was that it was. This is all new information that came out once we submitted our application, our application. So it was a surprise to me as well. I was told this would be a smooth and easy process, and it's been anything but so far.
Other questions from the commission?
Again, I'd just like to repeat what Penelope said. Like our intent here is to provide affordable housing through smaller lots that, there's definite need for this, and it's a perfect location for something like this. And that's what we're trying to do. And maybe I'm simple in my thinking, but there's two easy options. Either the city can hire a third party to do the maintenance or allow the HOA to own and maintain it. It's not a matter of is the sewer built correctly? Is it going to be a good system? It already is. It's just the hang up, I guess, with the code.
I do have a few questions for staff, if I could. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just as I work to understand the timeline arriving to the currently approved permits. So just for my further understanding, could you help sort of compare your understanding, a comparison of the relevant standards between DEQ's approval of the sewer systems and any differences that there might be with City of Boise's approval process or standards?
Chair, the biggest difference is DEQ doesn't own and operate systems. They're not out there maintaining it, operating them, nor are they providing long-term funding for replacement. These systems do have to be replaced someday. Somebody will pay the bill for replacing it. That's the biggest difference. That's the biggest difference we often see, because we're responsible for operation and maintenance. That we look at it very different. There's no question that Blackwater is capable of operating and maintaining the system. I think the question more comes up, though, is often those contracts, from what I've seen, based on DEQ standards, and I think it was in the packet, is only 5 years. So they sign up for a 5-year contract. What happens after that? So that's where you start to see major differences. We own and operate these things for the life of the system, for the life of the subdivisions. That's our responsibility. So that, to me, is the biggest difference. Yeah, we follow the same rules, but obviously the disconnect becomes in the operation maintenance. Can we operate, maintain it? Absolutely. But we have over 80,000 services. And one of the biggest things we work on is appreciate the comment about affordable housing and trying to find a niche. Part of affordable housing, though, is keeping utility bills under control too. And so we're very particular about the access that we get, because we've got to be in there quick, do the maintenance, and we're really looking to extend the asset's life. And by, continual maintenance and being able to do the maintenance and doing our CCTV inspections and all that, we've got to be very efficient for it. All of a sudden you get a subdivision like this. If we were to maintain, now you're slowing that down, and other ratepayers, it's not the same standards across the board. So somebody could argue, well, now we're supplementing what's happening over there.
Mm-hmm. And so in the other examples brought up in the reference materials, Golden Dawn and the Mesa, Could you help me understand what has been the process for transferring sewer ownership and maybe some of the reasons that that transfer has been necessary, as well as the sort of general cost or costs of that transfer?
Chair, with the Mesa, really kind of what drove that was outcry. The developer was long gone, right? It's now the residents you're dealing with. And they were unsatisfied with how the developer was gone, but he was still kind of operating, maintaining the system. And frankly, not, there were several issues with it. The residents got concerned. They're taxpayers. They want the same rights as others have. And as part of that, when it was annexed, it comes in. So that again is a level of service that we want to provide to all individual lot owners. As far as the cost goes, we don't, just like in development, when there's a new development, we don't pay for the sewer lines that go in. Those are contributed assets, meaning that the developer pays for them, funds them, gets them constructed per our standards. They meet all our inspections. And then when I, as the city engineer, sign the plat, we're now taking all those assets and they become our responsibility. So we don't pay for them, but then we're responsible for operation and maintenance. And just as in Abbas's presentation, those lines, we're always looking at ways to kind of, we've got projects where we look at moving those lines out of yards into the public right of way so that they're more accessible. Those are expensive and complex projects and a major inconvenience to the homeowners as well, because often we have to get on private property to have plumbing turned and stuff. They're difficult.
And then, so that's helpful in sort of myself understanding sort of the risk assessment that I'm considering. So in the procedural process, my understanding, based on the materials, is that the current project is approved as a single parcel apartment complex. And the reason that we're here today is that we are discussing the proposal to update that into a subdivision. And I'm wondering if there is any precedent for similar decision based on the water utility lines, the sewer lines. And I asked that to understand what kind of precedent we would be setting moving forward, moving in either direction for the appeal.
Chair, great question. And I think the precedent could almost be as the example of the one that was the Blanche subdivision that was brought up today, which like that is being used as a precedent. You allowed it. I did want to clarify on that. What that is that's a 7-lot subdivision. 6 of the lots are individually connected. There's one large lot that has 3 buildings. It remained one large lot with 3 different buildings on it. That's a private system that then connects to a public system. So it's kind of a hybrid. You can have a large lot, commercial lots or whatnot, where you have multiple buildings. It can be a private sewer, but then it still connects to. So the fact that we didn't approve a subdivision with private sewer, we approved each individual lot had sanitary sewer that was connected to a public main. So I believe we would be setting a precedence, and it'd be difficult to stand up here again. And then as these continue to build, we're trying to clean these up. We don't want to keep adding to these is what the city's trying to do right now.
Yeah, I'll open it up to the commission for any other questions as I continue to think through, just trying to pinpoint specifically what the short circuit is in the newly approved process versus, or the newly approved complex versus the proposed steps forward. Any questions from the commission? Commissioner Lockett.
Thank you, Chair. I think I had another, I didn't have it, but then you said something that made me want to clarify another thing. So you said that you're trying to, rather than acquire more of these things, I think you said you're trying to clean them up. But I also thought you said that there are no other subdivisions like this, so I misunderstood that statement.
Chair, Commissioner, great question. Through time, we have taken over certain sewer districts. The Bench Sewer District is an example of that, where we ended up, the city wanted, those sewer districts had kind of a shelf life. They were only to exist for so long. They expire, then they become part of the city. In that case, there are a couple subdivisions out there that the city did not approve, that it was kind of, at that time, they were outside the city limits. They were part of the sewer district. But when we acquired the sewer district, now we've got a couple subdivisions that the city didn't participate in at the time that had, or they did participate, but the sewer was provided by the sewer district. Now that they're fully part of the city sewer system, now they're asking, hey, it's a similar example where there's one parcel and there's several homes. This is over near Bishop Kelly. I can't think of the name of the subdivision. Actually, an employee here lives there who works with the city. Their HOA was asking us the same thing. Can you guys come take over the system for us? It's a burden. It's difficult for us to operate and maintain. We don't have the funding. And we said, we certainly will as soon as you build it to our standards. So just like a developer, get it to our standards, and then those assets will be contributed with it won't be a burden on the other ratepayers. And at that point, if you meet our standards, it'll just fall in line, and then you can become part of the system. So there are little pockets out there in some of the previous sewer districts. There is a Waihe Sewer District, Bench Sewer District, Northwest Sewer District, where some of these might exist. As far as, if I may also add, we also had, and when I said clean them up, there's other projects we have off of like Reserve Street over there, the Fire Station 1, or where the bike park is. Recently, that was a sewer that it was always public, but it got built in the rear lots. We just went through a project because, again, the maintenance was just impossible, very difficult. And we ended up bringing the sewer back out of the public way and in the public right away into the roads to provide access, and then turn the services.
Thank you.
Open to other questions from the commission. Commissioner Ellis, did you have any online?
No,
Just checking in.
thank you.
All right, hearing no further questions, I believe that we can close the Q&A section and then turn it back over to staff. Sure.
Yeah.
We will have time for rebuttal there. Turn it over to staff for the staff rebuttal time at this time. And that's just about 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Again, hit on a couple things. We're not questioning Blackwater's ability. They're a fine company, good reputation. We're not questioning that the system is designed. What we're questioning is that long-term operation maintenance and the funding mechanism. Who's going to pay for replacement along the lines? City of Boise could certainly operate and maintain it. That's going to impact other ratepayers. The cost is going to go up. It's going to take us longer to be in there. Again, we take on that risk and liabilities, so it's important to us that we maintain it properly. There was some discussion about one of the ordinance shouldn't apply because there are no new roads. That it also did say though utilities, and that this is public utilities. A waiver based on that ordinance, a waiver shouldn't be required. It's just not new roads, it's utilities as well. I think we covered the Blanche subdivision. One lot does have 3 buildings. That is private sewer, but it's not subdivided. The other 6 lots that were subdivided, or 7 lots, all individually connect to public sewer. As far as the point about there should have been a trigger or a miscue about seeing that there's individual services and and when I heard miscue on the city's part, we can only review what's in front of us. We were provided a set of plans that was based on an apartment. I can't have my staff digging deeper. That would be irresponsible and kind of outside of their responsibility lane. So if it comes in as apartment, we're going to review it as apartment. We can't do multiple what if reviews. And plus, even if we were to kind of notice that, and there was discussion, but we're not the project manager. It's up to them to say, yep, we're actually going this route. One of the other challenges is just because it's okay with Public Works, Engineering, Sewer, if the fire comment came in and moved something, that often has an impact on sewer. If things start to get moved around, we all have to work in conjunction. And that's why that subdivision process is so important, especially when you're talking public utilities, public roads, any public infrastructure, because through that process, we don't even review sewer until the preliminary plat is approved, gets through council. And that way you make sure everybody's kind of had a chance to provide their comment and it reflects that. Greatly appreciate the comment about affordable housing. I think that's something we're all concerned about. With affordable housing, utilities, affordable utilities is a big part of that. I could have cheap rent, but if my HOA fees and I'm paying for private roads and all this other stuff, that affordable housing is no longer that affordable. Again, support the comment about development is a hard game. It is very, very difficult. There's a lot of risk in it. But that's also why it's really important to make sure everything's in line when you go out. But it is a challenge, and I have great empathy. It's a difficult, long process. But when the developer's gone, the residents live there then for much longer. So there's this transfer of risk that really, to me, becomes the crux of it. Is there's a transfer of risk that can go from the developer to the homeowner, and then potentially to the city. One example I always think of is like pressure irrigation systems. A lot of homeowner HOAs have pressure irrigation systems. Those things fail all the time, and they don't repair them. Sewer system is equally maybe as complex, but the consequences of sewer failing versus your pressure irrigation failing are significantly different. There's regulatory, public health, and you could end up, having a subdivision you couldn't even live in. That's all I had. Thank you, Commission.
Thank you. This time I will open up to appellant rebuttal for another just about 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we've all learned something today, which is kind of a good thing. I understand the concerns about the future. What the maintenance agreements are set at 5 years for some reason. I'm not really familiar why that is, but I would be very interested in any suggestions that anyone can make about how to make this process work better. If the contract expires, you have another one. It's not a complicated thing. You just recontract. In terms of the HOA, first of all, these are not affordable in the manner in which we're most accustomed to talking about affordable housing. I actually worked in the affordable housing industry for CDI, which was out of Caldwell, as their due diligence and entitlements person. So this is more about what they call the missing middle. This is the tradespeople who make really good incomes, but there are families that have, there's a pocket in our housing supply that doesn't really address that missing middle. I see a lot of planning articles about it. So these are not traditional affordable housing where you're dealing with people who have an income that's measured according to the Census Bureau and what their minimum income standards, that kind of thing. It's not the same as it is for employed households who they're the missing, what they call the missing middle. So there's ways to mitigate any concerns about the future, or hopefully. The long-term maintenance, the HOA would need to build a reserve account. And it would need to be set aside that can't be used for anything else. And there are other costs that go along with HOA, snow removal, a PI system repair, all of that. So there are ways to handle this to make sure that there are assurances for future. And I would be more than happy to hear suggestions that you might have. In terms of the city engineer and what they review, I understand that they have a set of standards and they have a protocol that they follow. And I understand that they can't get into the business of what ifs, but sometimes a question is a good thing because it prompts other people to say, oh yeah, you're right. We need to talk about this and make some adjustments to how we're moving through this process. So I hope that was helpful. It's just an unusual situation. I think it's a great project. I think it has a lot of good potential for the city of Boise in a variety of ways. And I'd love for there to be a solution that can be found that will preserve the project, allow the platting, and still make sure that the city has what they need. Thank you.
Thank you. This time I would wrap up that section of our hearing and open it up to the commission for any deliberation and discussion. Any initial thoughts from the commission? Commissioner Lockett.
Well, I'm prepared to make a motion. We can have discussion first, but I will say I'm not generally in support of a private company providing services to citizens that are typically provided by a public municipality. So that's my concern. I just don't think that's a proper role. And also based on the information presented today, I'm happy to make a motion, or I'm getting us out of order.
Paula, I think we
So-
can open up some more conversation before a formal motion, just to make sure that we are we have as much of our input included as possible.
So
Please
discussion,
continue.
then a motion.
Yes. Other thoughts? Commissioner Wirtz?
Thank you, Chair. I'm kind of focused on the rule 10-2-9-1 and the specifics of waivers shall not be granted for subdivisions that are being proposed for platting when new roads and utilities must be constructed, and it goes on from there. But clearly utilities have to be constructed in this setting. I mean, I'm bothered that and kind of distressed about the situation, but I also think by the rule framework, this to me, and I'm not a lawyer, but my read is a waiver cannot be granted. I suppose you could split hairs here and say, well, at least in the clarification I asked for, it sounds like a subdivision hasn't yet been submitted for review. Is that correct? Yeah. So I don't know exactly where we are on it, but if it were submitted, I think this language basically is quite clear that waivers could not be granted.
Thank you. I have similar feelings about just the purely procedural process. I agree that there's a huge need for housing, for missing middle housing and all that, but purely on the procedural level, the appeal is on the approval of the plan that was associated with the previously approved plan, and opening up to exception from that approval process, I think opens a can of worms that I don't want to be necessarily setting precedent for backdoor configuring of plans related to our sewer utility system. And I definitely do, as someone who makes a number of oversights and missteps, I do really empathize with any missed opportunity for correction early on in the process, and would love if every single process included a review for any possible what ifs. But I don't know that necessarily an over design or under design based on an approved plan versus other standards should trigger internal prompting for what about this, what about that, when it comes to moving through any particular development. Other comments, discussion from the commission? Commissioner Thornfeld?
Thank you, Chair. This is definitely a hard situation. I think, maybe our body isn't really matching our legs. And I'm definitely empathetic to this situation. But I think, taking a 100-foot view, like it's, we have to think more about the end user and the people and the tenants in 10, 15, 20 years. And, God willing, I'll be a homeowner in 10, 15 years. And I wouldn't want to live in that gray area between city and private. And I think I would want to have the safety blanket that is city and a public sewer.
Other comments and discussion from the commission?
Chair,
Commissioner Ellis?
thank you. I just thought I'm going to be reiterating what's already been said, that it's unfortunate of the unique situation, and I agree. I'm all for more dense housing, and I'm sorry that you've had to go through this twice now. I'm sorry that it hasn't been straightforward. I am thinking about the big picture. I am thinking about long term, and I really appreciate what Commissioner Thornfeld has really given us a voice of the soon to be homeowner in the future and what she's thinking about. I want to do it the right way. I want to make sure this is done right. I don't want it to waterfall and have a domino effect where someone else has to fix this later on. And I am a part of an HOA, and I know what it's like when the budget's low and there's another choice for a contractor and they go for the lower price that might not be doing it the right way. It's wrought with opinions and complexities when you bring in the HOA. So I really appreciate everyone who has spent the time to present and give all the information. Really appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other comments, discussion from the commission? Right, hearing none, I would open up for a motion. Commissioner Lockett?
Chair, thank you. Based on the information provided today, I move to deny the appeal for a waiver of public sewer requirements for the proposed subdivision based on applicable city code.
We have a motion from Commissioner Lockett. Do we have a second? Commissioner Wernz?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Wernz. Any discussion on the motion as it stands? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chair,
Aye.
Yes.
for this particular type of decision, you do need to do a roll call vote.
Oh, roll call vote. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. I will call the roll. Please let me know your aye or nay when I call your name. Commissioner Ellis?
Aye.
Commissioner Wernz?
Aye.
Commissioner Lockett?
Aye.
Commissioner Thornfeld?
Aye.
Thank you. We have unanimous ayes and the motion carries. Thank you. And with that, That brings us to the next item on our Public Works Commission agenda. And that is the election of chair. The chair position is up for election, and at this time, I will accept a nomination for chair. Commissioner Wertz.
I nominate our current chair, Crispin Gravatt, to serve in another term on the Public Works Commission.
Thank you, and I do accept the nomination. Do I have a second on the nomination of myself as the Public Works Commission chair?
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Thornfeld. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries, and thank you all. And then up next is the election of vice chair, and at this time, I'll accept a nomination for vice chair. Commissioner Ellis, you're back. You're on mute.
Thank you. I'd like to nominate our current vice chair, Commissioner Wertz.
Commissioner Wertz, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
All right. And then do we have a second on the nomination? A second from Commissioner Lockett. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you and congratulations. All right. Anything further to come before the commission today?
Yes, please, Chair.
Commissioner Lockett.
I wanted to confirm our upcoming meeting dates, please. I show January 7th.
As we pull those up.
Yeah.
And this is a test of our internet speed to see how quickly we can pull up the
I can tell you what I have in my calendar and you can confirm whatever's easiest. Thank you.
Commissioner, sorry. So the following dates for 2026 are set. We have February 4th, May 6th, August 5th, excuse me, October 7th, and November 4th. And then we have 4 backup dates just in case, which are March 4th, June 3rd, September 2nd, and December 2nd. And thank you to Robin for sending me that.
Awesome. Thank you. And if it is all right, we could get those in a follow-up email from staff. Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for that clarification, Commissioner Lockett.
So no January meeting, Chair.
Clarifying no January meeting is correct.
No meeting.
No meeting.
Got it. Thank you.
Unless you'd like to hang out. We just can't get quorum. All right. If there is nothing further to come before the commission today, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A motion to adjourn from Commissioner Lockett. Do we have a second? Second.
I will second.
It. Oh, there we go.
Second from Commissioner Wertz. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries and we are adjourned. Thank you all.